Welcome back to this special edition of ILTV on the Hour. I'm Lidar Lazi, coming to you live from Israel with all the latest developments on day 13 of the U.S. and Israel's war with Iran. To Dr. Mandel, to Eric, you heard what Harel said. Do you share that assessment? I mean, how is this war looking from the United States?
I don't think we should confuse the unprecedented cooperation between the United States and Israel and the unbelievable tactical accomplishments with a strategic victory here. I think we're moving now into a war of attrition. I think Iran's strategy is to still stretch this war out. They know the longer this goes, the longer the president will become impatient. The president is already looking for exit ramps. The Iranian strategy is to make the American domestic economy and the world economy bad. Obviously, what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz is a big part of it. I think that the quantity of missiles that they're sending at the UAE is designed to make them run out of interceptors. I do believe they have a strategy to conserve their decreasing amount of munitions. And so if at the end of the day here, we have a wounded animal of Iran left, it is, and even if the regime collapses more, the IRGC is the most likely to still pick up the pieces here. So I'm more cautious because how Israelis feel overwhelmingly and how Americans feel in a polarized a country that is in an election year. You saw the president yesterday in Kentucky campaigning and talking about Iran at the same time. I do not think it's inevitable here that there's any quick victory with Iran and America's staying power. We really don't know. But the bottom line here is when the president says this war is over, however he thinks of it, however he declares a victory, Israel will have to stop. And that's why Israel at this point tactically has to go full speed ahead. I will say just regarding, I spent a lot of time up north. I've been up the north 9 times since October 2023. And I feel for the people from the Western Galilee to the Northern Galilee. But the president seems to be totally on board right now with a Israeli ground incursion in Lebanon. And if that's what Israel wants, and I know they don't want to...
Actually, was meant for you. I do want to ask you what you think about that, because I know that you said as well that you think that Israel should focus on Iran, not get entangled in Lebanon. Did you change your mind now about that? And especially now that we see that Trump is on board with an invasion of Lebanon.
Right. So the situation every day is fluid and things change. There is no doubt that Iran is the primary focus, and you don't want things that you do in Lebanon to distract from that. If Israel told hundreds of thousands of people everyone has to leave south of the Litani River, that change in focus at this point of time would not play well as America supports, and the world is basically either mute or somewhat supporting what Israel is doing in Iran. But we have to acknowledge that Hezbollah is there, and there is this window of opportunity where you do seem to have maybe the willingness of the Lebanese government to be against Hezbollah, but they're just not willing or capable yet. And if Israel can degrade Hezbollah to a certain level, it is possible that America can get coordination between the LAF and Israel. I mean, this may be a far stretch, but you don't want to end up at the end of this with Hezbollah again weakened and still in power, analogous to the IRGC weakened but still in power of the two. But there is, it really is a question for the IDF. Will they take away too many resources to do what they need to do in Lebanon? But I don't think you should minimize what's going on in Lebanon, because the Israeli people, I think, are being somewhat demoralized from 6,000 miles away here of what's going on there. I was with the 91st Division in January, who said that the expectation was that Hezbollah in the next outbreak of war would only attack the 5 bases that Israel has just on the inside of Lebanon. This obviously is not what has happened. They have been attacking civilians in Israel, and there should be not the mistake of removing the civilians, as was done in October 2023, with the fear of the Radwan forces coming in. But I think to leave Hezbollah aside at this point of time totally would be a mistake. But in the political realm, how far Israel goes could have negative implications that could reverberate to the cooperation that's going on in Iran. So again, this is five-dimensional chess. This is not, but it should not be simple binary Iran or just Hezbollah. But Iran is certainly primary.
Absolutely. Iran, of course, being the head of the snake. President Trump said in recent days most of the targets in Iran have been struck. There really isn't that much left. He said, the United States is exceeding its timeline, exceeding expectations. Here in Israel, it feels a little bit different, especially considering the night residents in the north and in the center have been experiencing the past couple nights. On the other hand, President Trump says the war will continue until all the objectives are met. He's focused right now on the Strait of Hormuz especially. But is there a concern President Trump could simply end this war prematurely? I mean, what's your assessment of that?
I think the president has given mixed messages. On one hand, he says, I think he said the tactical missions were quote unquote complete. And then you'll hear from the Secretary of War, or other times the president will say things that there's much more to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong in a fog of war here, making the Iranians not know what you want. But the Iranian strategy is they know that there is Western fatigue. America is a country that remembers the forever wars, and they think they can wait out the president here. I think there's been a profound change here, and it's been something I've been saying for years, is that the supreme leader, the new supreme leader, the son, is not in charge. And I know we haven't seen him, but I'm saying even if we physically saw him, who controls the country is the IRGC, which also controls the economy. And there are many people who are true believers who are there. And even if this regime collapses, that will make more instability in the Middle East. I'm not saying to stop, but we have to be realistic of what's here. And the president's patience will disappear at one point. And will the president allow Israel to continue on its own to do unilateral strikes? Because there is no doubt that these 12 Shiite jihadists are going to have a long vision of centuries, if you will, that they're going to eventually rebuild ballistic missile production, and they're going to go back to nuclear. And by the way, one of the things right now that's just out there, and we have kind of forgotten about it, Israel did hit a new strike of a weaponization place in Iran, is there's 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium in a tunnel in Isfahan. Are we going to secure that? And that gets to that we may need some boots on the ground to do that, which gets to the Strait of Hormuz and Karg Island refineries. That means American boots on the ground. Is the president going to go there or not? Or is he going to take that exit ramp? Remember, American interests and Israeli interests are different. Israeli interests really do want regime change, and that is a long-term prospect. And my article coming out in the Jerusalem Post is basically, is Israel and America, but especially America, ready for this war of attrition that's going to go on for a long period of time. But opening up the Straits of Hormuz is going to be incredibly important. My country has said it is too dangerous at this point to escort tankers going through the Straits of Hormuz, which is concerning, which means you have to degrade the drone factory, the drone bases, and whatever's left that can confront the fast boats, that can confront the tankers that are there. So there's going to have to be a major change here. Now, why the world is not getting on board here, I don't know, but we really need to twist arms here. And we also need to stop the Iranians, who are shipping more oil today than they did before the war started. Why we haven't stopped that? Because that is helping at discounted rates our primary adversary, China. And it's also keeping the financial lifeline going to Iran. So there is many moving parts here, but I think the timeline, America and the West has a different timeline than Iran, but Israel lives in the Middle East. And Israel knows that timeline. And hopefully President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu can still be on the same page here, because this is going to take a much longer period of time, but that goes against what's going on in a divided America.
Absolutely. Brigadier General Harel Knafo and Dr. Eric Mandel, thank you both so much for your insights today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.